Hello everyone, welcome to UN Digital class. So, in today's lecture we are going to discuss about R operators. So, basically why we are using operators? Because in the system when we are writing the programming, then we are writing that instructions to do some task. So, to perform any type of operations we use some syntax of doing that operations in the concept of programming. So, that is called as operators. So, operators are basically it is represented in the programming language in a symbolic format. So, we will discuss that how the operators are represented in the R programming and what are the use of that operators when we are using that in the instructions. Okay. So, let us start our lecture. So, the operators in R programming is a symbol that tells the compiler to perform specific type of mathematical or logical manipulations. We know that the R programming deals with the statistical analysis. So, the operators which we are using in the R programming that performs the specific mathematical and logical operations, and R language having many built-in operators and also it provides following type of operators. So, let us see what are the type of operators we use in the R language. So, we are having following types of operators. First one is an arithmetic operator, then relational operator, logical operator, assignment operator, and there are some other operators which is included as miscellaneous operators. So, we will discuss about these operators one after another and their operations and how they will operates, or you can say when we are using these operators which type of result it will display, okay, and how it will operate on the elements which are stored in the vector. So, we will discuss first about the arithmetic operators. So, arithmetic operators that are supported by R language, I have represented it in a table. So, in the first column we will display the operators, or you can say the symbol of operators which we have to use in our R language, and this is the description about these operators, that means which type of operation it performs in the R language, and then with an example. So, first operator is our addition operator, or you can say this operator is called as plus operator, and the operation is to add two vectors, and inside the vector let we are having three elements, and by using this C function we have inserted these three elements into this vector V, and we have created another vector T, and within that we have entered three variables 8, 3 and 4, and we have to add two vectors, and as we know that basically the vectors are represented by the concept of matrices, and you can see here that means this is the first element, this is second, and this is the third element. So, one element will be added with its respective elements, that means first element will be added with first element, then second with second, and third with third. So, when we are performing some operations, basically the addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, everything. So, we have to give, or we have to provide two vectors of same size, then we can perform the operations. Or you can see here that the vector B contains 3 elements, and as well as the vector T also contains 3 elements. Okay. By using this plus operator, or you can say the addition operation we are performing between these two vectors V and T. So, we have to write it in the syntax V plus T within the function print. So, we have to print the values of the elements with adding of one element with another element of two vectors, and then we have to print those elements. So, the result is produced by these instructions are, that means we have to add the element of V with the T. So, it displays 2 plus 8 equals to 10, and then 5.5 plus 3 equals to 8.5, then 6 plus 4 equals to 10. So, it displays all in the numeric formats. And in the next we will discuss about another operator, that is our minus operator, and their operation of this operator is basically subtract second vector from the first. So, you have to write the vectors which we want to subtract from another, that will be represented like this. That means t is subtracted from the vector v. So, you have to write it in the proper sequence. If you write t minus b, then the elements of v will be subtracted from the elements of t. So, we have written that v minus t, that means whatever the elements we have written inside the v, that will be from these we will subtract the elements of the value in the t. So, by subtracting what will the output it will display, that means 2 minus 8 it will display minus 6, and then 5.5 minus 3 it will display 2.5, and we are subtracting the larger element from the smallest element. So, it will display the result in the negative format. And then next operator is our multiplication operator, and the operation it performs is our multiplies both the vectors, or you can say it multiplies one element with another, and element wise multiplication is possible. That means first element will be multiplied with first element of the second vector, and then second element of the first vector will be multiplied with the second element of the second vector. So, this is the element to element addition, subtraction, multiplication, any type of operation we are performing. So, it will operate like this. So, it will multiply first element with the first element of second vector, then it will display the result as 16, then it will multiply the second element of first vector with the second element of second vector, then it will display the result as 16.5, then third element with the third element will display 24. So, this is the operation of a multiplication operator, and we have to write whatever the operators we are using inside the R language inside the print function, and when we are writing v multiplies with t, that means it is the first vector is our v and the second vector is our t. And then next operator is our divisor. So, divide the first vector with the second, that means whatever the elements we have entered in the first vector, that is v, that will be divided with these elements which are stored in the vector t, it is the second vector. So, v divisible by t, that means every element of v will be divided by the every element of t, that means 2 divided by 8 and then 5.5 divided by 3 and 6 divided by 4. So, what will be the result? It will display this result in the floating point values, and the default floating point values at the point of decimal places is our 6. So, it will display up to 6 places. And then another one is our modulus operation. So, by using the modulus operation, this is the operator, or this is the syntax of writing the operators, and this is the symbol to perform the modulus operation. That means when we want to perform some modulus operations, then we have to use this symbol. Then gives the remainder of the first vector with the second. That means by using these operators, whatever the remainder it will have after dividing the second vector with the first vector, then it will give that result. That means v divisible by t, and then whatever the remainder it will have, it will be displayed as the result. So, it will divide v modulus t, that means 2 modulus 8, whatever it will display 2.0, okay, and then 5.5 modulus 3, the remainder is our 2.5, and then 6 modulus 4, that means 4 once is our 4, then remainder is our 2. So, 2.0 it will be gives the result, and then next operator is our both modulus with the divider. Then the result of division of first vector with the second quotient. So, it will perform the modulus operation with the divisor. So, it produces the result as 0, 1 and 1. That means, the first it will divide, then it will display the remainder operations, and then this is the operator, and the operation of this operator is our to gives the power of some elements. That means, when we have to write suppose 2 to the power 8, that means we have to give the print like this 2, then the symbol, then 3 or 8, you can see. So, it will display the result as 2 to the power 3, and when we want to gives the elements of the first element and we have to exponent its power up to the elements of second vector, then we have to write like this. That means, it will display the values as 2 to the power 8, 5.5 to the power 3 and 6 to the power 4. So, whatever the result it will calculated, it will display in the output windows. So, this is the operations which is performed by the exponent operator, and the symbol is like this. So, next operator is our relational operators. So, relational operators are basically used to establish the relationship between two vectors. That means, whether it is greater than, whether it is less than, or it is equals to or not equals to, like this. So, we have to first compare the first vector elements with the second vector's elements, and then after comparing the values, or you can say the elements of two vectors, the result is displayed as a Boolean value. That means, whether it is true or it is false. So, let us see how the relational operators are represented in the R language and how it operates. So, first is our greater than. So, this is the symbol of operator greater than, and what it operates, or the operation of this operator is our checks if each element of the first vector is greater than the corresponding element of the second vector. That means, the comparisons is established between the first element of first vector with the first element of second vector, and then the comparison will be established between the second element of first vector and then second element of second vector. So, the comparisons will be like this. That means, the elements of one vector will be compared with the elements of another vector, or you can say the corresponding elements of that second vector. So, we have to compare the elements of first vector, that means, here is our V, with the second vector elements, that is our T. So, the first element will be compared with the first element of T, that is 2 greater than 8, it is false. So, we know that the output is displayed as the Boolean value, that means, whether it will display true or it will display false. If the condition stays true, then it will display true. That means, 2 is greater than 8, it is false. So, it will display as false. Then 5.5 is greater than 2.5, yes, it is true, then it will display the Boolean value as true. Then 6 greater than 14, it is false, because 6 is less than 14. So, it will display the result as false. Then 9 is greater than 9, no, it is false, because 9 is equals to 9. So, as we are only uses the greater than operator, so 9 is not greater than 9. So, it will display the result as false. Then next operator is our less than operator. So, it will compare the first vector elements with the second vector elements. If the elements of first vector is less than the elements of the second vector, or you can say the corresponding element of the second vector, then it will display the output as true. And if the elements of the first vector is greater than the corresponding elements of second vector, then it will display the output as false. So, let us see it an example. The first vector contains these elements and the second vector contains these 4 elements. So, we have to compare the elements of these two vectors by using these less than operators. So, it produces the following result, that means, by comparing the elements with their corresponding elements. That means, 2 less than 8, yes, it is true, then it will display the output as true. Then 5.5 is less than 2.5, no, it is greater than 2.5. So, it will display the result as false. Then 6 less than 14, yes, it is true, then it will display the Boolean value as true. Then 9 is less than 9, no, it is 9 is equals to 9. So, it will display the result as false. So, this is the operations of using the operator less than and greater than. And next one is our equals to, that means double equals to. And the operators we are using double equals to, that means whether the elements of one vector is equal to another vector which we are comparing. If we will use a single equals to, then it will be treated as assignment operators. So, this will not given a single equals to, you have to use double equals to. Then the operations of this operator is our, it checks if each element of the first vector is equals to the corresponding element of the second vector or not. If the elements are similar, then it will display the result as true. If it is not equals to, then it will display the result as false. That means, let us see it in example, that 2 is equals to 8, no, 2 is less than 8. So, it will display the result as false. Then 5.5 is equals to 2.5, no, it is not true. So, it will display the result as false. Then 6 is equals to 14, no, it is false. So, it will display false. Then 9 is equals to 9, yes, it is true. So, it will display the result as true. Then another operator is our less than equals to. So, the operation it performs, that it will check each of the element of the first vector. It is, in an example we are using the vector as v, and if the elements are either less than or equal to the corresponding elements of the second vector, then it will display the result as true. If the condition not satisfied, that means if it is neither less than or not equal to, then it will display the result as false. So, the elements will be compared, that means 2 is less than equals to 8, yes, it is less than 8. So, one condition is true, that means it is either or case. If it is less than, then it will produce true, as well as if it is equals to, then also it will produce true. So, 2 is less than 8, so it will produce the result as true. So, 5.5 is greater than 2.5, that means it is not less than or it is not equals to the second element, that is our 2.5. So, it will gives the result as false. Then third element is our 6, it is less than 14, that means it satisfied this condition, that means the elements of first vector is less than to the corresponding element of second vector. So, it will display the result as true. Then the fourth element is our 9. So, 9 is equals to 9, that means it conditions the, it satisfies the second condition, that means it is equals to the element of the second vector. So, it will display the result as true. Then next operator is our greater than equals to, that means the elements of the first vector will be compared with the elements of second vector, and if the elements of first vector is either greater than or it is equals to the corresponding elements of the second vector, then it will display the result as true, otherwise it will display false. So, let us see it in the example, that means in the first vector, the first element is our 2 and the corresponding element of this is our 8. So, it will be compared, that means 2 is greater than equals to 8, no, it is false, that means 2 is less than 8. So, it will display the result as false. Then 5.5 is greater than or equals to t, yes, it is greater than t. So, it will display the result as true. Then the third element is our 6, will be compared to its corresponding element, that is our 14, that means 6 is less than 14, that means it is neither greater than nor equals to. So, the result will be displayed as false. Then 9 is equals to 9, so it will display the result as true. Then another operator, or you can say the relational operator, is our not equals to. So, the syntax of writing not equals to is this, explanatory mark, then equals to, that means not, this is the syntax of writing not and this is equals to. So, checks if each element of the first vector is unequal to the corresponding element of the second vector. That means if the first element or you can say the elements of the first vector is not equals to the corresponding elements of the second vector, then the result will be displayed as true. And if the elements in the first vector is equals to the corresponding elements in the second vector, then the value will be displayed as the result as false. So, let us see, that means 2 is not equals to 8. So, it will display true. 5.5 is not equals to 2.5, it will display true. Then 6.6 is not equals to 14, so it will display true. Then 9 is equals to 9, that is why it will display false. So, in today's lecture we have discussed about arithmetic operators and relational operators, and the syntax of writing the operators, or when we are performing the operations between two vectors, we have to use the function print, and within the print function we have to write the operators in between the two vectors. And we have discussed about arithmetic operators and relational operators, and to perform the arithmetic operations and the relationship between two vectors we use some symbols. That means in the arithmetic, that is addition, subtraction, multiplication, division and modulus, and then relational it is less than, greater than, equals to, and then greater than equals to, less than equals to and not equals to. So, in the next lecture we will discuss about some other operators. Till then keep watching. Thank you.